I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day. And let me tell you, I have an amazing author on the show today. Mr. J.S. Wilson is here. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, happy to be with you.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm an architect. I live in Anchorage, Alaska. I've been here for 45 years. But before that, I grew up in San Francisco area. I went to Cal Poly University in San Luis Obispo, California. Upon graduation, I traveled and worked in Europe for several years. I then came back and lived in San Francisco during the counterculture era in the early 70s. I came to Alaska during the oil pipeline boom in the late 70s. It was crazy. It was like Dodge City during a cattle drive. It was the wildest times you can imagine.
Oh my gosh.
I knew a lot of wild people growing up, and I thought it would be interesting to write about them. And I got started on an idea about that and started writing this book in about 1996.
Wow. So we're talking about the book 100 Honeymoons.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So these are real stories.
Yeah, all the people in the book, the main characters I've known in my life. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what was that like for you? I mean, to write down your story and to actually put it on paper about people that you've known.
Well, it was very hard work, but a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it originally. It took me about 3 years to do the outline, and then I put it down for about 10 years, and then picked it up and started. Yeah, the writing was fun, but a lot of work. The editing was absolute drudgery, and the marketing is even worse.
Oh gosh. Marketing and editing are two things that I dread as well. So me and you are on the
Yeah,
same boat.
yeah.
Wow.
The book started out at 700 pages, and I had to get it down to 450. So it was
Oh,
a huge job.
oh my gosh. Why?
Well, first off, I wanted to write a book that went to the edge of what could be written. And I'd read other romance novels, which mine is, and I thought they didn't go to they didn't tell the whole story, where I wanted to tell the whole story. My first editors, or my first publishers, wouldn't print one chapter. It was just too graphic. The rest of it, I had to whittle down from 700 to 450, which I did, and that's how it got published at 450.
Oh
That
my
was a lot of
gosh.
work.
That
Yeah.
seems like a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have been like, no. Somebody gonna have to help me out with this. Did you get any help?
Yes, I had it edited by professionals once, and that didn't work out. And then I had another publisher's professional help. They edited using the Chicago method, which was a big help. Also, I had the help with the fact the format of the publisher used was more compact than mine.
Mm-hmm.
Their typeface was more compact than mine, and I always write with two spaces between sentences. Well, they get it down to half a thing, so I save things that way. And then I had to get down another 40, 50 pages. And actually, I remembered something I read as a young person about how Ernest Hemingway was such a great writer because he could put in a word or a sentence what it would take other people a chapter to do. So I went through every single word for the whole thing and just compacted it and try to get a word to do a sentence and a sentence to do a paragraph, etc. And I got it down to the 450 that was required without taking any of the meat of the story out.
Oh my. Oh my. Okay, so tell me about the story.
Okay, it's mostly set in San Luis Obispo, California, where I went to college at Cal Poly.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts out with two young people meeting on a quiet suburban street, and how they almost fall in love just meeting. And she's just starting high school, and he's in a junior in high school, but both mature people. And how they meet, and how they fall in love, and how their carnal desires rise up early on. And then it's about the adults that exploit them. There's the girl, Sally, becomes a cheerleader, and the cheer coach kind of farms the girls out to the local business people and football players and so forth, and exploits them for money. That's one. The other is that Todd goes out to a ranch in the Carrizo, and there's a lady that runs this ranch who is an ex-rodeo champion, and she's beautiful and dynamic and successful, and is isolated way miles from anything, with a husband that's a drunk and abusive, and she's lonely. And even knowing that what she's doing is unlawful, she falls in love with this young boy who's only 16. And what happens in that thing, even though she knows it's wrong, it's just the loneliness overpowers her, and how that loneliness drives her and him together. Well, then they go on, they get in a lot of trouble, both of them, individually and collectively. And Todd, because he gets in a fight defending Sally's honor, is forced to go in the military. Well, he goes in the military before he can marry her, and he gets killed in Vietnam. And she has a baby, his baby, but marries another guy to move on with her life.
Oh.
Well, what happens is it turns out that Todd was not killed. And 10 years later, he gets out of prison in Vietnam and comes back, and she finds out about it and is stunned by finding him, and her child knows about him and everything. And her existing husband is a kind of a gambling addict, and he gets in trouble. She divorces him and marries Todd, and what happens with that? And what happened? How he gets in Vietnam, how he gets killed, or they think he's killed, but he's actually captured and kept in one of these tiger cages in the jungle.
Oh my gosh!
And nobody knows he was actually captured. So the whole 10 years, nobody knows he survived, including the army. And the book, 100 Honeymoons, is mentioned twice in the book, and how does 100 Honeymoons go in with this? And it is all about the fact that what you enjoy on a honeymoon is part of the book for both Todd and Sally, and for their, you might say, missteps along the way.
I gotcha.
The other thing is, the people that I knew that were wild growing up, which focuses on the book, they all turned out to be pretty good people, except for maybe one or two. So the fact that they're wild people, especially girls at a young age, doesn't mean they don't grow up to be good, honest, hardworking, happy people. And that's the story I wanted to tell, was that and the reviews I've had addressed that they were happy that I focused on the, you might say, exploitation of girls and how they survive that.
Wow. So that's probably why you had to take out an entire chapter, because it was just too juicy. I mean, 100 honeymoons and things that you do on your honeymoon. I mean, I can think of a few things.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly true. And I had to take that out, and I didn't want to, but I had to get it to a publisher. One publisher turned it down, the whole book down, for that reason. I've had personal friends read the book and really liked it. I had one personal friend read it and told me she couldn't go on. It was just too sexy for her.
Ooh.
But I tried to be as tasteful as I could, but tell the real story of what it's like to be carnally forced, carnally driven as a young person, which a lot
Right.
of us are.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, finding out who I are sexually as a young person is probably the main things about growing up. And I wanted to tell that story in a way that was interesting and true to the characters I knew.
That's good. That's really cool. And I see here on Amazon, there's only one left in stock, so you're doing really good here.
Yeah, but I've had good reviews. I've got a little list I send off to people that are interested in my book and publishing it. Or what's happening now is it's being put out there to be made into a television series because it's such a long book over a long period of time.
Wow.
And that's not there yet, but maybe that'll happen.
Well, I hope it does. That sounds really, really good. So, 100 Honeymoons was really literally something that was so juicy. Do you actually have a copy of the old chapter that got deleted?
Oh yeah, I do somewhere. Yeah, I haven't looked
Wow.
at it in years, but yeah, I do.
Wow, it would be kind of cool to kind of publish that as like it's a extended version for adults only kind of thing.
Well, I suppose I could. Yeah, there's no doubt I could do that. And you know, there's a lot of other things I wrote that didn't get included that were just put aside because they were just not good. I had one part that they just said, well, I went off track. It didn't relate to the rest of the book. I've had good help in the editing. The first thing I did was pretty real jumble. But the second people that helped me with the Chicago method did a really good job.
Wow, so there are different methods. I didn't know that.
Well, I just they both my editors that were professionals I paid to do it used that method. I think that's it.
Oh wow, that is so cool. So, 100 Honeymoons, a novel, is it's available everywhere. But I'm gonna have the actual Amazon link in the description box, but below. You guys, and you also have it as an audiobook.
Yeah, we paid an actress to read it, so you can get it audio book, you can get it ebook, you can get it soft cover or hardcover, and the book cover actually won an award, and the book was named Best Romance Novel of 2021 by Pacific Book Review.
Mm-hmm.
The villain in the story, a woman, Mrs. B, got an award for the best villain, so I got the best villain too.
Wow. Well, I have an audiobook subscription, and I'm gonna go ahead and see how easy it is right now to go ahead and find it. So it is 100 Honeymoons. I'm doing it right now, guys. Honeymoons. I found it. And guess what? I'm going to go ahead and play the sample right now.
Okay.
Sally walked through the entry and down the hall to her room. Glancing at the mason jar in her hands, where her memory of him was imprinted, she could see the look in his eye and hear the lilt of his voice. There was something in that voice, those eyes, something more. Some little hurt or tenderness she wanted to hold and help, heal, treasure, and make her own. She shut the door and leaned against it. A slight smudge from his lips was on the edge of the glass, and there was a chip in the rim. She held it close to her face and realized that just like the mason jar, Todd had a flaw that she could soothe. Pulling open her dresser drawer, Sally folded back her socks and tops. Then she raised the glass to her lips, softly kissed it once more, and tucked it in the back right-hand corner behind her underwear. Looking at the drawer's contents derisively, Sally realized she now felt a need for lingerie, not underwear. Somehow that change went along with the warm feeling. To look in the mirror was to thrill at her own blossoming. Sally's developing figure had attracted the attention of boys and the jealousy of some of her girlfriends. She'd begun not just to show up, but show off in class, and the eyes on her felt good. "Church, you've got about an hour to get ready," Grandma yelled down the hall. Okay. Sally called back. She noticed the window was open, and the curtains moved gently in the breeze. Next door, Brian's bedroom window was open. She chose a white sleeveless top with buttons down the front and a pink skirt, which would match the new low-heeled shoes she'd gotten as a gift from an aunt. She put on her underwear and training bra, disliking both intensely. Grandma came in without knocking, slamming the door behind her. She looked at Sally's selected outfit and said, "No, that won't do. Won't do at all." She glared at Sally, then reached into the closet and selected a flower print dress with a small collar and buttons down the back. The skirt was long, as were the sleeves. She then set out a pair of brown lace-up shoes. Eyeing the earrings, lipstick, and rouge on the nightstand, Grandma shook a finger at Sally and said, "That won't do either. You are a pious young lady on her way to church, not a party girl. Didn't I tell you to get rid of those things last week? What am I going to do with you, young lady? Do you want me to talk to Deacon Jennings about this?"
Wow. I am in love already. I mean, I love stuff like this. I love to listen to audiobooks. That's just my thing because when I'm traveling and everything. So this being on the audiobook app that I have here from Amazon, I'm just going to go ahead and confirm I just purchased it. I got it. So
Okay.
it's in my library, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look and give you a rating. You know, I love stuff like that because it takes me into like another world. You know, when you're writing, what kind of advice do you give to people who may be writing and they're probably on the wrong track?
Always write about things you know.
Mm,
Always, so you can get the details right. So you can get the, if I may be so bold as to say it, get the kind of thing that Hemingway would have, that the sentence lives because it really happened.
mm-hmm.
And also search for words and things that are more descriptive. For instance, the word bold. Well, there's another word for bold, which is audacious. Well, if you used the word bold and you wanted to make it more interesting, you'd use audacious. The word just has a connotation of a more interesting, a more sexy sound to it. Things like that. You choose words, and you never try to use the same word twice in the chapter or something if you can. And look for that sort of thing in your writing. Is there a word or a sentence that grabs the whole idea rather than just a description? There has to be more between the lines of the thing than just the words, or it's a description, not a novel. This is especially true in romance, where there's so many mysteries within it. You have to find the mystery within your own writing to write about it. And you have to keep the people on the edge of their seat or the edge of their book all the time, that they're not knowing what's happening, because the people that are involved in romance themselves don't know what's going on.
Wow.
So it's a mystery to them, and it has to be to your readers and you as you go forward.
Wow, I love that. Absolutely love that. You know, I want to thank you so very much, Mr. Wilson, for being on the show today. It has been such a pleasure, and I have a new book.
Oh, great.
It's called Go ahead.
I'd love to hear your own comments on it when you finish it.
Definitely. I usually finish within like a couple of days, especially with, audiobooks. So 100 Honeymoons, a novel, is available as an audiobook. It's also available Kindle and paperback. There's only one copy left on Amazon. I'm going to put the description in the link in the description box below, so that way it's easy for you guys to get it. If you like the actual copy, the paperback, you need to go ahead and jump on this now. But if you're an audiobook lover like me, all you have to do is just go ahead and go to audiobooks and actually add it with your credit or purchase it today. Mr. Wilson, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to hear your comments on the book.
Yes, I will be doing that soon, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye.